What's up, guys? Tim also with DragBoss Garage. Welcome back to the channel and another great episode. And I mean great. Gotta give a big shout out to first Matt Bieneman. Matt was on my live chat on Saturday at 2 p.m. It was great. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. He gave a ton of information. He has a ton of experience and he shared it with you. And that makes me feel good, Matt. Thank you for being down to earth like you are, and you are humble. That is for sure. I also want to give a big shout out to Steve Morris. Thank you, Steve, for coming on to DragBoss Garage live chat. I appreciate that. So make sure you guys subscribe to their channels, and hopefully those guys will subscribe to mine, because that's how we build this content, with subscribers. It's crazy the things that are happening to me. Got a lot of things going on right now, as some of you may know. Won't get into that right now. I got another big shout out that goes to Jeffery Gretz. Thanks, Jeff. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have any contact with Warren Johnson, and you hooked me up with the man. So it's awesome. And Warren, I know you're going to be watching this because you say you watch all my videos. So thank you, Warren Johnson. Jeff is a great guy. He actually worked for Warren on the pit crew, and some of the stories he was telling me just blows me away. And Warren's going to hopefully share some of that with me. But that guy is a machine. If you guys know anything about him, he works from sun up to sundown and probably longer, 16 hours a day. No one can keep up with him, Jeff said. It's just unbelievable what he can do. And he is so funny to talk to him in real life, or on the phone, I should say. Wait till you see the live chat. It'll be great. And I had met him in 1999, and that's a story in itself when you hear that. But thank you, Jeff, for hooking me up. He's building a car that I'm going to try to put on the subscribers ride. It's a bad 79 Camaro with a big inch small block. He's got a lot of cool parts too that he's going to share with me. One of the things we talked about today is a quote from Warren Johnson. You can never have too much money, you can never have too much power, and you can never have too much loving. Thank you, Professor. I love that quote. So wait till you hear some of the other information he gives us. I also want to give you an update. Tomorrow I'm headed off to Columbus, Ohio, to my old engine builder, Bob Beach. You've heard me talk about him before. Great guy. He's 81. I think he's the same age as Warren. And he's still working. I'm going to get my custom headers that I've been waiting for a long time from JP's Custom Header and Chassis. So I can't wait to get those. We're going to look at Bob Beach's camera. Yeah. I was going to go to his shop last Friday, but he had some issues. It wasn't ready, so we postponed it. Well, I'm going tomorrow. Now, he actually had two cameras. One he sold to Reichert Ford, and Pete Reichert, if you're watching this, my family's coming there to the museum. We're going to do a tour when we hook up with that. So he sold one camera to Reichert Ford. He has one now, and he's going to put it into a 63 Galaxy. So I might help him with that. We're going to work on that. Mike Weeks, I've already talked to him, so this could be a great project for DragBoss Garage. He also owned Bob Glidden's EXP, and that's when I met him, so that has to be around 2004 or 5, because I remember seeing it. It was black and white then, and I remember seeing it in his garage. And at that time, it had a big black Chevy in it. We're set up for one. So we'll get a peek at his shop and see what he's got going on. Also want to look at his tractor collection. I know a lot of guys are into tractors. I mean, he's got probably 20 or 30 of them in different buildings. Unbelievable when you see them. They're all restored. So I think that's going to be a nice little episode in itself. So after Bob's, I'm headed to Signature Auto, owned by Rick Parker. Now, a subscriber, Patrick Yoakum, emailed me and said I might be interested in coming to his shop. And damn, I'm interested. Rick is a Ford collector. I think he has 7 or 8 Boss 429s, 3 or 4 Boss 302s, an assortment of Shelby Mustangs, and who knows what else he has. So he welcomed me there to do a video for DragBoss Garage, and it's going to be epic for sure. I talked to Joe Pappas from the Mopar Missile. Now, I had talked to him before, and I actually made a little video on the phone with him, and I sent him a webcam a while back, and then we lost contact. He's busy with the Mopar Missile now, the wire car. He has a friend, Arnie Clan, I think, owns that car. So he works with him when they tour that car. So he's a busy guy still. We talked on the phone today. We're going to do a test link in a little bit to make sure it works, and then hopefully this week we can do a live chat. You know, because like I said, DragBoss Garage is not just about Fords and Clevelands, although that's my passion. But to build this channel, I need to encompass everything. And I love everything. I have nothing against Chevys, Mopars, AMC. Those are the cars that raced in pro stock. That's what I want to investigate, plus everything else in between. And that's what I'm going to do. So he's gracious enough to do an interview. I also talked to a guy, probably no one knows him, but his name is Bill Rolfe. And Rod Spodar, if you watch my channel still, Rod, hooked me up with him. I tried calling him last year a few times, but never got a hold of him. Again, he's 81 years old. And here's the funny story he told me about. He's a very busy man. He said, listen, call me next week. We'll see about hooking up. But I'll give you another guy's number to call, and that's Carl Baker. So Carl Baker, I'm going to be calling you soon too. But he said that Jon Kaase lived, well, between houses or in walking distance. So John was always coming up to his shop, which is probably about a half hour from me, I think in Elyria, Ohio, and hanging around. And Bill said, hey, Kaase, why don't you clean up around here and get some of this stuff cleaned up? So he said he made him clean up the shop. He made him clean up all the dirty engine parts. And John did it without any issues. And he said, man, that guy's a good worker. So then he slowly started to teach him about doing valve jobs and about working on machine work and that kind of thing. Well, I can't say how old he was. He might have been in his 20s, but he built a pro stock Pinto. And I want to say it was a Ford, but I can't remember. I have a picture of it. You know, my buddy that had passed, if you saw this, been following me, Don Rohde, was buddies with Jon Kaase. They called him Comet Kaase because they had a Comet. I think it was Green Comet, and raced that. But Bill Rolfe told me that he built a pro stock motor with, I think the guy's name was Ford, no pun intended, and they took it to a track, Dragway 42 they took it to, and they raced, and they were only 0.2 off from Dyno Don Nicholson. So they had problems with the suspension, is what Bill said. So Dyno Don came up to Jon Kaase and said, listen, why don't you pull that motor and put it in my car and let's see what we can do. So they said, okay. They threw it in Dyno's car, and Dyno went 0.2 faster than he was going. And after that, he talked to Kaase, and he ended up hiring him away from Bill Rolfe. So Bill has a lot of stories. I'd called Jon Kaase last week, but I know he's busy, so hopefully he returns a phone call. I talked to him before about doing the DragBoss, as I've said previously, and he said he was just too darn busy. And I understand that, John, but I would love to get some of the history that you have, because, well, let's put it this way. Larry Olson, if you know who he is, he's the one that's responsible for what did Warren Johnson's heads, if I'm not mistaken, helped develop the DRCE. I did a chat with Larry Olson on the phone a while back, and it's on my live chat. You got to look at the live chats. There's a lot of information there. And he said he was pretty happy with what I'm doing and impressed, and said that everyone has a story to tell, and they need a storyteller. And he said, I'm the Mark Twain of pro stock and racing. That's pretty honorable. I don't know if I'm the Mark Twain, but I'm just Tim Halstead in his garage doing what he loves to do. So stay tuned to DBG. I'm going to tell you right now, you're always learning something new when you stop by DBG.